Yep. Four different. Yep. Four different hospitals. Shouldn't say hospitals. Two different hospitals. Two different residential treatments. Yep. You. Hmm. Yep. You read correctly. Hmm. No. Four different mental. Four different mental hospitals since March. It is now June. Four different hospitals since March. It is now June. You would think by now I would have learned a few things or two along the way. Well, I have. And I would love to pass that information on to you guys. I had SI quite a few times. Um, this last time was really bad. I actually told my wife we need to go, or else I was, you know. So we got in the car and I went to a place called Salt Lake Behavioral Health, and I was there for a month. So I got there on March 24th and I left April 21st, just shy of being there a month. I left there and went to a residential treatment facility, and I was there for 21 days. Went back, I'm sorry, I went to another hospital called the Huntsman Crisis Center. Once I left there, I went to a place called Recovery Ways. I left Recovery Ways and wound up in the Crisis Center yet again. So, with all that being said, I would like to pass on some of the information that I've learned at all of those places, because I have learned quite a bit. Hopefully, you can keep an open mind. Granted, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just someone who can relate, someone hopefully that can pass on some information that might help you out in the future or now. So, there's this stigma around mental health, as we all know. And my goal is to hopefully break that stigma a little bit more by sharing my story and my trials that I have gone through, especially this year. This year hasn't been easy. It's been a very, very long road, but I am now home, back in my studio, which is kind of my, if you want to say it, a place that I can be grounded, and I enjoy it, and it helps me relieve a lot of stress. So, get back to the facilities. This place, Salt Lake Behavioral Health, I ended up having what they call acute psychosis. So I was placed on the acute psychosis floor, which is 4 East. And that was no fun. My acute psychosis really turned bad when I jumped over the nurse's station, thinking that these three gentlemen that were in there were trying to kill me. Scared me to death. So I jumped over the nurse's station and knocked a bunch of stuff off the counter, and one of the nurses pulled me into the isolation chamber, the isolation room, and I stayed in there for 3 or 4 days. I don't remember exactly. Excuse me. I don't remember exactly how long I was in there, and that was my doing. they were encouraging me to come out, but I didn't want to because I swore up and down that those guys were going to hurt me. Needless to say, when I finally came out, instead of doing what they were going to do, they high-fived me instead. So, my acute psychosis, well, was pretty much just me freaking out. So, while I was there at Salt Lake Behavioral Health, you know, in those types of facilities, you go to like I call it a holding pen, because that's kind of what it feels like. So initially when you get there, you get processed in. Now this isn't every single facility, but I'm pretty sure that they all kind of operate the same. But when you initially get to this facility, you are processed in. They ask how or what brings you in that day or that night. It's 24-hour admission, so you can go anytime you would like. So you get processed in, like I said. Once you're processed in, they take you through these doors and you wait until they call you in. At that time, you surrender all your belongings. You have to take out any drawstrings that you may have, any shoestrings that you have. All your jewelry comes off, including your wedding ring. So once that's done, and they find a bed for you, you go up to the holding tank or holding pen, and you wait. It's a kind of a room where everybody's waiting to go to the next floor, whatever that is. So you just wait, and you make some friends while you're there, which is amazing. Once you're done, or I'm sorry, while you're there, you go to a few groups. The groups range from just basic reflection groups, process groups, to coloring groups, to music therapy groups. It just really depends on the schedule that day. And usually they post the schedule. A lot of times there's no TV. Usually throughout the day you'll listen to music. But like I said, there's no TV. So if you expect to see TV on 24/7, well, don't expect that. At least at this facility. So once you're done with that floor, you are then moved to whatever floor you'll be staying at. Now this facility can be a short-term or kind of long-term facility like mine was. Mine, like I said, was just shy of a month. So it was longer for me because of what I was going through. So that's why I ended up staying almost a month. So a lot of people, they stay a week, maybe just a few days, but most of the time it's usually about a week. So when you're on your actual floor, you have day starts at usually about 6 in the morning. You get meds, you get breakfast, and then groups start. And groups go on all day. So there's not much downtime. You can go to your rooms for a little bit, But when you're in your room, the door has to be unlocked. Or the door has to be open. Can't be shut. And when you're not in your room, the door has to be closed and locked. So anytime you want to go to your room, one of the staff have to go and open your door, and then you can go in. I was fortunate enough that I had my own room, so that was real nice. It helped with my psychosis up to a point. There came a point where my psychosis was really bad. And I'll get to that here in a few. It's quite fascinating. Anyways, so, you go to groups, process groups, coloring groups, same thing that I was talking about downstairs. It's very, very, there's a rhyme and reason for everything that they do, and they need to keep this particular pattern, or not particular pattern. They need to have something going on at all times, so you're not standing idle and getting into your brain. So with these groups, you all circle around, and you start listening to other folks' stories. And you might initially be apprehensive about opening up, and that's okay. You don't even have to open up in the group. They want you to attend every group, and there's reasons for that. 9 times out of 10 you're there on insurance, and insurance wants to see that you're participating in groups to continue to cover you. So it's important that you at least attend the groups. Like I said, you don't have to participate in the groups, but take it from me, I would highly encourage you to do so. And also go into these groups, whatever group it is, go into these groups with an open mind. You're going to wonder why some of these groups are doing some of the things that they're doing. And if you don't keep an open mind, you're not going to learn why it is that these groups are doing what they're doing. So, for your well-being, keep an open mind. So, these groups, you go, they're usually about an hour long. And like I said, they range anywhere from processing groups to music therapy. Processing groups tend to be something that maybe you need to get off your chest. And it can be anything. You could be having a very bad day, and you just need to get that out. And in those groups, it's okay. And your feelings are validated. It's okay to feel the way that you're feeling, regardless of what anybody has told you in the past. It's okay. So, and that's what these groups are trying to show you. So, like I said, get involved in the groups and keep an open mind. So, dinners, at least at this place, since I was on the acute psychosis floor, we had to eat on the floor, and so they brought our breakfast, lunch, and dinners to us. Breakfast was at 7, I believe, maybe 8, I want to say 7. So then lunch was at noon and dinner was at 5. And it was typical hospital food. Yeah. That was, yeah. So, then you had med pass. Some of us had med pass 3 times a day, others just once a day. So, it's amazing at how many meds you wind up on when you're in there. And a lot of those meds do help. So, keep an open mind on that too. Sometimes our brains need that little boost to help us get better. So that is pretty much the hospital setting. Let me think if I'm missing anything else. Give me a second, got to take a drink. Talk about my acute psychosis while I was there. Like I said, I jumped over the nurse's station and I got put into this isolation room. And like I said, I was in there for 3 or 4 days. I can't remember exactly. I finally came out and I finally went back to my room. Well, when I got back to my room, I thought I was in the clear, but I kept hallucinating. And it was just the strangest hallucinations you could ever imagine. I remember, I'm sorry, let me back up. So prior to going into the room is when I started hallucinating. I started hearing things. I swore I heard my voice. I swore I heard my voice calling me or somebody calling me. I did some really scary things. I remember looking like I could see through the walls, and I knew exactly what was in where I was looking at. So that was really weird. I swore people were up crawling across the duct. Yeah. So, I swore up and down that somebody was able to get in through the shower in my room, and that freaked me out. And I remember going in there and I would ask questions, yes or no questions, and I would envision this red light and a light that actually the red light was like a square, and it was like it would flash, and that I believe was for a yes, and then a wolf's head was for a no. And I would ask it certain things and it would either say yes or say no. So yeah, let me put it this way. I got my linen and my socks taken away from me. So if you know what that means, then so I that's when I went out and thought people were gonna hurt me, and that's when I jumped over the nurse's station. And yeah, so anyways, that is pretty much what goes into a hospital setting. Now let me talk about the other hospital setting, which was the Huntsman Crisis Center. which is amazing. Um, there, it's like an open bay initially, and you wait there. They have these chairs that fold into or lay back into a bed, and again, there you're waiting for your room. Once your room becomes available, you go up to whatever floor you're going to be going to, and you wait. Well, the first time I was there, I was only there for 24 hours and left. And then this next time, and last time, I was there and I ended up getting a room. So, yeah. So there, it's very similar to what Salt Lake Behavioral Health was. So, how it works there as well. Although Huntsman, you had a more downtime during the day. So we did get to watch TV as long as groups were not happening. So that was a plus. But, so like I said, that's very similar to what Salt Lake Behavioral was. Now, on to residential. So, residential, I was at a residential treatment center, and I was there for 21 days, which was called Deer Hollow, and it was brutal. You were up at 6, breakfast, or I'm sorry, gym, come back from gym, breakfast, shower, get yourself ready. 9 o'clock was the first group, and you went from 9 to sometimes 7 o'clock at night in group, minus your lunch and dinners. So lunch was at, breakfast was at 8, lunch was at noon, and dinner was at 5. And that's the way it was all the time. So, no, I'm sorry, all the time except for days that we were going to go out. And that was on Saturdays and Sundays. We did group outings, depending on what, just whatever we did. When I was there, we went to the zoo, we went and hiked, we went and helped the homeless, which they constantly have you going. There was zero TV, except Saturday nights we were allowed to watch one movie, and snack time, that was it. Couldn't have any other snacks that your loved ones would send you home with or send to you. So group started at 9. You had group from 9, 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, lunch, 1 to 2 was group, 2 to 3 was group, 4 to 5 was group, 5 o'clock was dinner, 6 was group, 7 was, I would say, a group occasionally. So it was brutally fast, and it was very trauma focused. It focused on a lot of first responders, and we had some folks that were there that were not first responders, but a majority of us were first responders. So there, like I said, very strenuous schedule, brought up a lot of traumas. That was one of the hardest things. You develop this bond with the group that you're there with. When I was there, we had, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I was the 6th one. So we were a very small group. It was in a house. We had a swimming pool, a koi pond, a nice fire pit. So we were able to go outside whenever we wanted. We just couldn't leave the grounds of the house, uh, which was okay. I had just spent, you know, what, almost a month at Salt Lake Behavioral Health, so I was fine with that. So, but there, it was almost like a regular house. You had very comfortable beds. You had your own, well, I had my own shower since nobody was there with me. I had my own bedroom again. Um, so it was nice. Just the schedule was brutal. Absolutely brutal. So you go through and you talk about all different types of traumas that you've faced, traumas that you've been involved in, not just first responder type traumas, but family traumas, any kind of trauma that you can think of. That's what it was really focused on. So, but with that comes a lot of stress, and it really triggers you a lot, and that is the point, because you heal through the pain, which is true, I believe. So doing that helped me out a lot, being able to talk about my traumas. So I did learn a lot. Well, I had SIs again, went back to the Huntsman, and I was at Huntsman, went through the same stuff again. After the Huntsman, I went to a place called Recovery Ways, which was fantastic. And I was there for 20 days, something like that. Can't remember. And it was very similar to the way Deer Hollow was. It was just as strenuous of a schedule. It wasn't so necessarily trauma focused, which was nice. You weren't having to relive a lot of your trauma, although it did cause you to bring up some of your traumas from your past. So you unfortunately had to bring some of them up, but not nearly as many as you did with Deer Hollow. And I'm not saying Deer Hollow is bad by any means. It was a great program. So, again, with those programs, make sure you keep an open mind as well. You know, our mental health is unique. We all suffer from different types of mental health. We could have the same mental health diagnosis, and it's going to be completely different, and that's okay. You know, there's really no one size fits all. Like I said, we're all different, and that's okay. We just have to be there for each other. A good support system is key in recovery. My support system is fantastic. My wife has stuck by me more than I could ever imagine. So to have that support and not have to worry if things are being taken care of at home, and worrying about her, allows me to be able to focus on myself. And I'm thankful for that. And don't forget, we can get better. Will it ever be fixed? No. And that's okay. With proper education, some meds, we can get better. So I hope that this video has helped you in one way or another, giving you some little bit of insight to residential and hospital mental health treatment. So remember, guys, you're loved, you're cared about, and you're thought about every day, even when I was in the hospital. And I'm sorry that I have been away for so long. I do have more to share, so look out for the next video, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. All right? You guys take care. Have a wonderful day. All right? Thanks, guys. Bye.